What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Tom and Jerry. So this is the second time I'm filming this review, which is, I guess, not a huge deal because I didn't have an abundance to say, but I got behind the camera after I was done filming the last time, super excited, ready to start editing, and saw that I did not click record. You know, this is a classic YouTuber moment. So here we go. Let's get into my thoughts on Tom and Jerry. But quickly before we do that, for anybody who usually watches my channel, you're probably wondering why I'm filming in a different location. We're currently in the middle of getting a bunch of new furniture, and it's all kind of mixed up with all the furniture we already had, and we're trying to get rid of some of it. So it's a little bit messy in here right now. So I figured this was the best place to film for the time being. But let's go ahead and get into my thoughts on the 2021 Tom and Jerry. That is a hybrid release between theaters and HBO Max today. And so if you guys have HBO Max, it's currently on there for the next, I think, 30 days or something like that. And then it'll only be in theaters. What I can say about this film right out of the gate is I thought it was fine. I thought it was cute. And as a fan of Tom and Jerry, I enjoyed all of the Tom and Jerry hijinks and moments across this film. As a kid, I watched a lot of Tom and Jerry. I used to watch a lot of the reruns. And I could probably say that I've seen most, if not all, of the Tom and Jerry episodes at least twice, if not more, for some of them, depending on which ones were, you know, being reran on TV all the time. This film stars Chloë Grace Moretz and Michael Pena and tells the story of a young girl named Kayla who kind of sneaks her way into a high-level job at a hotel and is now kind of in charge of dealing with this wedding that's coming up with Michael Pena's character, who is kind of like the antagonist of the film. And not too long into the film, Jerry decides to take residence at this hotel, and they don't like the fact that there's a mouse in the hotel, obviously. So Chloë Grace Moretz's character is tasked to go and take care of the mouse problem, and that's when she meets Tom, obviously the cat, and has Tom hired on to the hotel as well, where he wears a little hat, a little name tag, and they work together to get Jerry, capture him, and get him out of the hotel. That's the basic gist, and after that you have a live-action hybrid of CGI characters and live-action, big hijinks-filled Tom and Jerry film. What I can say without a doubt is that the story is the weakest part of the film, and it's just another one of those examples of a film or a cartoon or something like this being remade or redone in a way that doesn't really need human characters super heavily, but it does, because at the same time, Tom and Jerry, you know, they don't speak. So it makes it a little bit tough. You know, it kind of reminded me of the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie, except those characters speak. And where this film, they don't speak. So they had to have these human characters in the story to kind of, you know, fill out the hour and 40-minute runtime of this film. And what I can say is a lot of the story felt rushed. A lot of the dialogue was very cringy for me. And overall, on a story level, this movie didn't work for me. Now, what I can say is that this movie is definitely for a younger audience. It's definitely for kids. And I can see families and kids enjoying this film over the course of the next 30 days that it's on HBO Max, whoever goes and sees it in theaters, and just in general in the future with its lifespan. I could see it being just a good, fun thing to throw on. It's harmless to watch. There's not much to it. But what I can say is, yeah, you know, it was just okay. It was just fine. As a fan of Tom and Jerry, like I mentioned, I really thoroughly enjoyed the hijinks, the very big, over-the-top Tom and Jerry moments of this movie. Because most of what's happening is very animated, a lot of the cinematography in this film is very, very stagnant, very, very stale. The camera is hardly moving, and if it is, it's very, very little movement, with most of the movement of what's happening being with the animated characters on screen, especially in the very big hijinks-filled moments. If you're a fan of the show, you may be able to recognize a lot of these moments and certain things that they kind of call back to, certain antics between these characters that are completely redone in this film in a new setting. And as a longtime fan, I enjoyed seeing those things, and it has a good mix of new things that they do that keep the film feeling fun as far as Tom and Jerry goes. So without a doubt, that was my favorite part. I found myself laughing and smiling plenty of times during the Tom and Jerry moments and anything that had to do with the animals. I also really enjoyed the fact that even though this movie is in live action, they made sure that all the animals, even just the birds flying by or people walking their dogs in the movie, all the animals were animated, so it felt consistent. And I also really enjoyed, as a longtime fan, to see that they didn't do a redesign on the characters. All the characters that you'll see in the film, like Tom and Jerry, and the other animal characters that you'll see come up every here and there in their episodes, all the characters were in their original design, so everything felt consistent and coherent if you're a longtime fan, where it definitely felt like a Tom and Jerry film. film. The biggest issue with this film is that the story just is lacking. Chloë Grace Moretz gives a fairly cringy performance for me, honestly, and she's a really good actress. I really enjoy her in a lot of things. A lot of people think of her from things like Kick-Ass, but I just remember seeing her in a lot of dramatic roles, and even if the films aren't great, she's usually really, really solid. Whereas in this case, you know, the film was just okay, and she was fine, but it was a little cringy, and I think most of the issues really came down to the script. There are so many lines of dialogue, or just full-blown scenes, where I looked over to my fiance, and we were just like, what in the world was that dialogue? Like, some of it is just almost laughably bad. Like, there are moments where I don't know if they were going for that, but it's just really, really cheesy. This film is definitely a live action cartoon, which we've seen before, you know, a live action version of a cartoon that has cartoony elements where the characters and even the live action ones are speaking and acting in a very big and bombastic, over the top way. And yeah, this film is definitely that, you know what I mean? There's definitely a big cheese factor to the line delivery and the acting of this film, though there are some people who play it a little bit more straight. Chloë Grace Moretz's character being the character who's probably playing it straight the most, but then she was also given these very cringy lines of dialogue. Throughout the film, there are quite a few moments of dialogue that are definitely leaning towards the youth and certain, you know, things like Instagram and emojis and all that kind of stuff that may not work for a lot of people, that may come across kind of forced and cheesy. And beyond that, there were a couple of lines of dialogue about like things like gender or PETA, the animal safety, you know, people. And yeah, that's kind of stuff may rub people the wrong way or just seem kind of forced. So yeah, you know, it wasn't always in the film. It wasn't a lot of that, but something I felt like at least was worth mentioning. And overall, I enjoyed the CGI animation of the characters. It kind of harkens back to an old school kind of feel and vibe, while also having, you know, that kind of newer, crisper look to the CGI. This film definitely feels like something that could have come out in the early 2000s, and that's not necessarily a great thing all the time. The movie overall just has a very weak story. There wasn't much to really latch onto. There really wasn't much to be connected to be honest. Overall, I found the film to be cute, kind of fun. I probably won't watch it again, or at least not anytime soon. Tom and Jerry moments were fun. That was definitely the highlight of the film. But since the film is an hour and 40 minutes, we do spend a lot of time with our human characters, and I just found myself never really latching onto them and the events that had to do with them. There's a lot that happens with these characters, but it just feels like a lot of it is rushed, and a lot of relationship between characters is rushed. And specifically, the relationship built up between Chloë Grace Moretz and Tom and Jerry. She's with them for portions of the film, for sure, without a doubt, but there's literally a moment at the end where she completely understands everything they're going to say, and one of the people are like, you got that? Like, you got all of that from what they just said, or what they were kind of miming? And she follows up like, yeah, like, you know, we're connected. And the music kind of rises up. It kind of like, I don't know, it kind of made me feel like the movie was trying to make me feel like they had like this deep connection that just didn't feel earned. You know what I mean? This connection that just didn't really feel right to me. So yeah, what I can say overall is the film was fine. It was cute. All of the Tom and Jerry moments were fun. If you were a fan of Tom and Jerry growing up and you want to watch just some fun hijinks with these characters once again in a new updated way, it's just worth watching, especially if you have HBO Max. It's not a film that I tell people to rush to theaters to see. Visually, it's fine. It's pretty straightforward as far as like the cinematography and all of that goes, but the story, the characters, the dialogue, the human characters specifically, yeah, I couldn't really care less about any of that. And you know, I think that it's going to be a movie obviously more for kids than adults, but I gotta be honest, as somebody who does love family films and kids films, and I still watch them all the time, so as a longtime Tom and Jerry fan, it was fine, it was cute, nothing crazy, but I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. So hit that like button down below if you guys enjoyed this video, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Also, I will be getting out more new movie reviews coming out very soon. I've been slacking on that, and I'm going to be watching a lot more of the films coming out on streaming, as well as some of these HBO Max theater hybrid films, trying to do them on day one. So here we are with Tom and Jerry. I got a couple to go back and do, but I will be getting more new reviews out to you guys very, very soon. Thank you for all the support as usual, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.